Good afternoon everyone. So today we're at a Volkswagen Transporter TDI 2017. Customer's complaint is the check engine light is on. Now the background to this story was this is the TDI, I think it's a 2-litre TDI in a Transporter, and the guy had an original code for an auxiliary water pump. Now I'm sure there's 3 of them on this engine, but it was seemingly the one down the back, so I'll go out and show you that. I never done the job, so I'm not exactly sure where it was, but it had a code for that. So he changed the auxiliary water pump and he assures me that it still works. So, but he still has a code for it. So here's a full code scan. Heater support pump supply voltage, so that's active static. Brake electronics, steering angle sensor, no signal, and then there's other ones in the electronic bits and pieces. So what I was thinking of doing, in order to ascertain what one's bringing the light on, we'll go into OBD and have a muck about there first of all. So let's have a look at OBD. So let's read fault code. Oh, what is that? So that's current and pending. So obviously I need to update my scan tool. So we'll just have to go with that new water pump that's been fitted. So I'll show you where that's located. So there's the engine there. That must be a heat transfer thing there, MAL. But the guy said this pump was down the back of the engine. I'm trying to look for new parts, can't see it. But anyway, that's even like a heat exchanger. I'm not even sure what that is. And the engine code is CXG. So you can see that code's active and static at the same time, so it's a current code at the moment. So my thoughts going into this, the guy says he can hear the pump run, so I think that must have a voltage supply. The other thing I was thinking, sometimes on VWs, if you replace a part, you have to tell the computer it's a new part that's in it. I don't know how it works, but that's what you do. So let's see if there's anything in this scan tool to say that we replaced a part. So let's see, actuation test. So actuation pump, heater support pump, you would think it would be something like that. Start it. Let's go and hear if we can hear it. So I'm listening to the engine with it actuating, and I can't hear any difference. I do hear something running down here right enough. So here is the aforementioned pump. So you can see it's just 3 pins. Take it in, put it on the ramp and see this. I mean, it's 1, 2, 3 pins, so you would imagine what? I don't know. There'd be a 12 volt, 5 volt supply. So, well, let's assume it's a little pump like that. It'll be a 12 volt supply, a ground, and then a signal to tell you if the impeller's actually turning, or would it be measuring voltage? I don't really know. Do you know there's a little arrow on it? So let's get it up and see if we can see it. Here's a long shot. I've checked the fuses in the engine compartment. Now they are not labelled, so I don't know what one is what, but they all check out fine. Power on both sides except for the 30 amp ones, which have got power on neither side. So throw that one. I'll check the other box is just in there. There we go. The guy said he checked it, so we'll be going to do that. Here's what I've learned so far. Here's one pump down the back there. Now I had to take the ducting off, but you can see this silver wire down the back here, and I can feel that pump down there. That is running, so that's good. There's another pump down there, just underneath the radiator, and seemingly there's another pump for the EGR cooler. Now they're all 3 wires. So we're going to get to this one, see what the voltage is. But you would assume we'd be feeling that. I mean, that pump's running constantly. So we're lying underneath the front of the vehicle. So here's another pump here, and I can feel the vibration of that. That is running. And then the other one Oh, here's the other one here, just at the front of the cross member. Now this one is not running. So that's the one we need to try to get these tabs. This is just for our reference. Oops. Let's see. So you can see that I'm into that yellow green wire. Oops. Let's go. So that's the first pump running. There is the signal coming off of that. So you can see that's 12 volt supply getting pulsed to ground. So I'd assume that's a pump on. Well, I don't know. It's a pulse ground, I would imagine. Let's go to the middle wire. That's me went into the grey wire. Alright, so you can see there we've got 12 volts. And imagine the next one's a ground. Ground. Right, so we've established that's good. How am I not getting any figures down here? So it's 12 volts, pulse ground and a ground. Right, let's go to the bad one that's not turning. So this is on the pump that's not turning. So you can see that's an inverted compared to the other one. So that's me on the middle. What wire am I on? Let me see.
Do you want to put this on? Around.
Aye, it would help. Here, my phone's in my pocket! I heard a snap! Right, yeah, madman. So that's me on the yellow green wire. So let's go to the middle wire. Oh, there we go. The grey wire in the middle has 12 volts. So that's good. But just no want to pump that pump. Is it the pump, George?
No, that's a new pump. Is that a new pump side?
Everything seems to be there. You can see that I've disconnected that wire. So logic would dictate if the other two pumps are running and this one is not, you would think this would be the problem.
Is it working?
No, it's not working, so we're going to pump this old one back in and see what... Pump at the front, we've disconnected that, and that comes up, charge air cooler coolant pump control circuit open. So that's the charge air cooler, that's though the heater support pump. Like, we're going after this top one here, so we're barking up the wrong tree. So what I would say about that one we've disconnected at the front, when you plug it in, the pump actually starts and then it stops. So we're still chasing this one, and he thinks it's the one at the back with that silver wire that I showed you earlier on. Oh man, this is so complicated. Right, we managed to disconnect this wire. See this grey wire down the back. Now that indeed is the heater support pump. So with that disconnected, I'll show you our code. The access to that is horrendous. So you can see that then changes to a P16C00 heater support pump open circuit. So that is the correct one, but we still have that code up there, voltage supply. I cannot figure this out. Heater support pump open circuit. P16C00, and our actual code was P16CB00. Supply voltage, and we ran over the pin with a test light and it lights. So the supply is good, and we have a ground. Yeah. At the front, just under the radiator, is the charge air cooler coolant pump. So that's that one there. And I don't know what this one's called. Oh, behind it, but if we disconnect it, oh, it's too painful. That must be some other one. So we've plugged in this faulty one into the heater support. So let's see what code that generates. So with me refreshing the codes, and with that faulty one plugged in, it's finally managed to clear the code. So let's see what happens now when it starts the thing. I'm beginning to think these pumps are wired differently. So here's my reason why. So we're in. We have the tab up the top here. With the tab up the top here, and I'm in the last pin. I'm on the pin on the left, right? So let's look at the pin on the left. I can't see the wiring. I cannot see the wiring colours because it's under the shield. It's very difficult to access. So, pin on the left, tab at the top. Right, we agree with that. There we go. So that's 0 to up to 3 volts. It's maximum, right? So I would think that's coming from the PCM, ECM back to there. So that would be the circuit. It pulses it, right? So that's the left wire. Let's go to the next wire, the middle wire, and see what that has. I'm now into the middle wire, tab at the top. So there's the output from that, 11 volts. So I would say that's power supply. So let's just check that with our trusty test light. The battery negative. Check our test light. It lights. So we'll go down here. See, that's a good supply, right? So we agree with that. That's checking out fine. So let's go to the next one. This should be a ground. Now we're in the wire, tab at the top, on the right. So you can see that's a steady 0.4 volts. So let's take our test light, go to battery, negative. We'll check our light, that's good. There you go, lights here, so we'll go into that pin. So that's a good ground. Everything checks out there fine. It must be the pump. In here, one on the left. You can see that's exactly the same as up the top. The middle one's power and the right one's on the ground, so it's exactly the same. I do not know what's up with this. Let's go in the middle one. There you go, that's us in the middle one. On the scope, middle one's power. When you plug this one at the front, it initially buzzes. You can feel it turning and then it switches off. Now disconnected this one. That's the one slightly behind, so there's the one I was working away at. So let's see what code is generated for this one, which runs all the time. That other one I disconnected is the EGR coolant pump. So that's for your information. So the one at the radiator, behind the radiator, is the EGR coolant pump. Still no any further forward, this heater support pump. Ooh. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I am stuck. I have tried everything to get rid of that code. Access is terrible, but I'm pretty sure there's a good supply voltage there. It must be when it's going through the pump out the other side, it's not liking it. It must be dropping too much. But then again, you can see that in the scan tool. Sorry, on the scope. Here, support pump supply voltage. I'll let you see what it says here. Fault status, priority, fault frequency, mileage, date, time. Cannot get rid of that code. Here's something interesting. Heater support pump 1 bank 1 primary circuit and heater support pump 1 bank 1 second circuit. So one's showing 0%, let's see. Heater support pump 1 bank 1 primary circuit activation. Okay with that. And second circuit, 2 circuits. We've got another pump here. Called my mate Dave, he said try the old school method, just disconnect the battery and see if it clears it. It's worth a shot, innit?